Downtown Tulum Radio.
What's up, everyone? This is Joanne from Downtown Tulum Radio. Today, we've got a really special guest, DJ producer, and the mind behind the Mood Records and In the Mood Radio. So she's been shaping dance floors and airwaves around the world for years. We're certainly excited to have you here with us. Please welcome Nicole Moudaber. So welcome.
Hi, thank you.
No worries. I appreciate your time, of course. I know you're very busy, so let's just get right into it. You know, you say how your beginner's guide into music was trance. However, you said that the first time you heard the drums in New York Tunnel Club, we were there to see Danny Tenaglia, whom I actually talked to 2 months ago. You know, you said they reached you, you know, the sensual drum, heavy techno sound that actually defines you. So I want to chat about that. Looking back now, you know, what do you feel was awakening you, you know, at that moment when you felt the drums, when you felt that music, you know, that really underground New York sound, you know?
Yeah. Well, because of my shaping and growing up in Lagos, Nigeria, I was born in Nigeria. And obviously, the sound over there is very percussive, very drummy. It kind of woke up this ancient feeling in me when I heard the tribal house sound in New York. So it was very primal. And I have to say, it made me discover the artist in me that I never knew it was there. Mm-hmm. That was an aha moment for me. Everything became clear. And I knew at that point that I wanted to be part of the scene and of this music. I didn't know how, but I knew that this was who I am, basically. Because, you know, when I was on that dance floor, I was a professional clubber.
Yeah.
I have a job. I tried to do many jobs before, like in banking, hotels, and stuff like that. But I didn't have a purpose back then. And this was my aha moment. I knew that I want to be part of this culture.
And you know, we always say like it changes you. It didn't change you. It just brought you to who you were, you know?
Correct. It just opened my mind and showed me the artist in me that I never thought it was there in the first place.
So, you know, before all that, you know, before knowing that you're an artist, you mentioned the professional clubber, you know, but then after the war, you took the role of a promoter, right? In Beirut and then later in London, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you've seen so much. And how did this seeing the scene from behind the scenes shape you, you know, who you actually became? Because obviously, you know, we all kind of started as a professional clubber. You go to the club, you dance, it changes you, it moves you. But then you really took it, like it really pushed you to be an artist. So how did it push you? Like how did you make a move from being a professional clubber to a promoter to then an artist?
Yeah. You know, when I was a promoter, I never even thought once to get on my decks with all the parties that I've done, imagine. So I was promoting in Beirut, and it taught me how fragile and powerful music really is, because at the time after the war, I threw the first party not only in Beirut but in the Middle East. Mm-hmm. That culture was non-existent in that region, and when I threw this first party, it was by a cathedral and a mosque. And
wow.
Both were completely bombed from the war. And obviously we had a civil war, you know, Muslims, Christians, and then it developed into something else, and, you know, politics.
Yeah.
At the time, when I threw this party, it was a defining moment that us, this generation, we don't want war anymore, and we just want to dance and have a great time. So this location was a true testament that music unites, because we had Muslims, Christians, Jews, and Druze, like all kinds of religious party people come dance with us under the stars. And we had 1,000 people actually that night, which was monumental because they've never seen a DJ in their life. I got 2 DJs from London, 2 dancers from Paris, and we chose this location. I put smoke machines behind the the halls of the windows, and I projected the name of the party, which was Trash.
That's amazing.
That was the first party I ever threw in the Middle East. And after that point, there isn't one single DJ that hasn't played Lebanon because of me and the Middle East. So I am very proud of this moment that I have taught this culture and introduced this culture in that region. Obviously, after that point, I threw many parties in Lebanon. Mm-hmm. And I sourced the radio stations with like Ministry of Sound DJ mixes so that people can hear what was going on. I got Ministry of Sound to Lebanon also, and many different brands and DJs like Paul Van Dyke, Anthony Papa. Excuse me. Who else? John Digweed. I helped do a gig there for him. Danny Tenaglia. I mean, the list goes on. So yeah, that was me. And then I moved to London.
Yeah.
Because they put me in jail in Lebanon for one of my parties. I don't know if you know about this.
No, but if it's not too personal, I'd love for you to share it because you know it is a personal, it's a powerful story. You know, it was the purpose you had to do, and it was, I guess, a price you had to pay. I
paid a high price. Yes.
Yeah.
Because after the war, when Lebanon was kicking and when, we were slightly coming back to normal, I threw a party around Halloween in a club called Acid at the time. Mm-hmm. And during Halloween, I had all the gays in the city coming to that party dressed in such a flamboyant way that I didn't have, I didn't know that we had intel from the Syrian government, which at the time took hold of Lebanon and they were everywhere.
Yeah.
So I had Syrian undercover intel and undercover press from regional places in the Arab world. And 5 months later, they had a massive feature about this specific party. They took photos and they wrote 5 pages in this magazine, equivalent of Cosmopolitan or GQ or whatever in the Middle East, right?
Yeah.
And 5 pages about my party, and the cover of that magazine was homosexuality and perversion in Beirut. And you open this, 5 pages about me and the party that I threw.
Wow.
With all the DJs, with all the gays and the trans and everyone, actually, not just them, on podiums and dancing and blah, blah, blah. So they asked me to come down to the Morality police station 5 months later to question me on a Friday afternoon about this party. And I was held in that station for 8-9 hours. And then they came to me and they told me, well, we can't let you out now till Monday because we can't find the judge to sign your release. It's late now and we can't find him. Luckily, my sister is a lawyer and I had a friend with me on that day. She went out, she called my sister, and my sister made some phone calls. And eventually I got out of that jail. And from that point, I decided that this country and this region is not ready for me. I'm way ahead of my time. I better fuck off and leave them and go to London.
Yeah, before they do anything.
What happened? That's what happened. And that was the year 2001, 2002 maybe. So I left and I never came back till 2016 to play as an artist. And I never talked about this in the press till also 2016. My parents didn't know about it because it was such a scandalous thing to talk about at the time. Obviously, being a woman, being thrown in jail, I didn't want to put them in this position. So they didn't know anything till 2016. Obviously, by that time, I had a lot of power, a lot of independence, a lot of confidence, and I started talking about this incident in the press. So I kept it hush hush all this time. So yeah, it wasn't easy, and I have to say I did it on my own. I didn't have any social media support. I didn't have anyone to talk to. So, but you know, coming back now to play as an artist in Lebanon and the welcome that I get every time is truly incredible, I have to say.
Well, you know, when you mentioned that they were not ready for you, they were ready for you. It was just the government that wasn't, you know?
Probably. You're right. Yeah.
And
That government was not ready for women to be doing this sort of job and succeeding.
and by yourself.
And by myself.
Yeah. And speaking of doing things by yourself, you also self-taught yourself everything, right? Like you speak a lot about, you know, self-apprenticeship in the studio before even getting recognized, before people seeing you in the game. So you had to learn a lot of patience. You know, you had to trust yourself. Like you said, you mentioned that when you went back, you had a lot of confidence. So I'm sure all of this helped you with your confidence, right? For example, your debut album, right? Believe on Drum Code. You work with Adam Bayer, who also collaborated with you. It helped you solidify your name, you know, in the scene.
Yes.
So,
and in fact, this album went to #1 in all categories, not just techno, because I had deep house, I had tech house, I had all styles in that album. And it was #1 in all the categories for months at the time, in 2013.
Yeah.
For me, is incredible also.
Yeah, of course. And it is an incredible accomplishment, again, because you self-taught yourself. It's not like, you know, you decided to go to some like music university that they have right now, DJ Academy, you know, you walk the walk yourself. So of course, that helped you just kind of with the confidence and being able to make moves, you know. And speaking of making moves, you know, Carl Cox, right? Like he's your mentor. You've known him for a while. How did you meet him? You know, how did you grow into building a relationship with him, and of course grow into a mentorship? You know, he called you the most underrated DJ.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, it's funny. And you know, when he said that, I didn't know about it till about 3 weeks later. Somebody told me, "Did you see what Carl Cox said about you?" And I said, "What?" I didn't know. No, I didn't. And I didn't know. I did not know anything. But how he met me was through my music. He started playing my music on his radio shows. And from that point, he invited me to play. And that was my first ever DJ gig, I have to say, to open for him on his album release party in London. After he said this in DJ Mag, I got invited to open for him for this album release party in London. And that's how we connected. And that summer, he invited me to play Space Ibiza and his residency every Tuesday.
Ace of Spades.
Yeah, the revolution continues.
Yeah.
And I did that for 7 consecutive years with him, every year at Space Ibiza. And that's how we became friends and we started making music together. I won an award for one of the remixes I did for him at the International Music Awards. And we did countless back-to-backs around the world. And that's how the friendship developed. Funnily enough, I was chatting with him yesterday. Well,
Yeah, recently you were with him, I believe so, right? Like it was recent that I saw it. Yeah.
Yeah, we chat at least once or twice a week. So it's very special and we go a long way back and we talk about music, we talk about life, we laugh, we talk about cars because we both love cars.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that your hobby too on the side, or are you just as
special.
passionate about cars as he is?
I took my professional license in 2017, so I'm a professional racer.
Amazing.
But obviously, he's been doing it way before me. So,
Did you race him?
we drive cars together. I mean, we haven't done a race day together yet, but maybe this year we're planning something. Yeah,
That would be awesome.
I'm
You
ruthless.
mentioned
I'm ruthless behind the wheels.
perfect
might
because you
get
need to
scared.
show. You need to kind of like push him and just say, hey, let's do something. Let's do something.
Yeah. No, we're planning for sure. We are. Yeah.
You mentioned a lot of back-to-backs, with him, but you've done a lot of back-to-backs in a lot of festivals with, for example, Paco Suna, with Dubfire, and, Paco Suna obviously is your sound, but Dubfire is a little bit different. So with whom do you feel most comfortable doing these? Your sets and your music flows with them. Obviously you mentioned your music flows when your emotions are heightened, but every time I see you do these back-to-backs, these marathon sets with them, they're just amazing,
And they are all very different.
Yeah.
It's different than Dubfire.
Yeah.
I did 3 hours back to back with Dubfire recently in Tulum.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, at Bonbonnière. I did a lot of back to backs with Chris Liebing.
Yes.
Since 2016, we've been doing back to backs. And every person is different. And this is what excites me the most because I'm a music lover and I like all kinds of music, not just one specific kind. And this is what really motivates me and excites me. So when I play with Paco, I know it's house and tech house. When I play with Dubfire, it's both house and techno. And with Carl also, it's varied with different styles, mainly techno with Carl, because
Yeah.
he's the king.
He's the king of techno.
So yeah, I think not a lot of people can be varied and versatile like this, and I'm super proud that I can be this chameleon, and because I know my music. And yeah, you can put me anywhere and I can just fucking slam it.
Well, so that's the point, because a lot of the artists, they just want to sort of have their light shine on them. When they do a back to back, it's like it's about me. But when you do back to backs with someone, you really take everyone on a journey and you add a little bit of their flavor to your set. So it's always wonderful to see that. Yeah,
it's like a musical conversation, and
yeah,
if
it is a dialogue.
It is a dialogue, and I've seen some back to backs that don't make sense whatsoever. I mean, mind you, I did a back to back with John Summit 2 years ago, and we played techno, and that was interesting. So it's just a case of, I don't know, knowing your music, knowing how to converse and how to make the music flow in a clever way.
And ask questions.
Yeah. And
you founded.
Yeah.
Yeah. You founded the Mood Records back in 2013, if I'm correct. So what was missing in the scene back then that that you felt you needed to release the label? Of course, every artist wants to have their label and their sound, spread all over the world, but something made you feel this label needed to exist? No?
Yes, because it was the natural progression of who I was at the time. I didn't feel that the scene needed my label to exist. I think it's the other way around.
Oh, I like that.
To exist for the scene and to be able to showcase newcomers and also my friends and my peers, the established artists that I deeply respect. And for me, the label is a creative outlet. It's a fun thing. It's a creative outlet, and it's a way of expressing my sound, as well as support others. So it's that ethos. If the music is good, I would love to share it. And now I have separated two different labels. I created a house label because I've been playing a lot of house events and I wanted to separate the techno from the house. And I have to say, Mood Collective, it's like rocking. I've got everyone knocking on my door right now. It's on this, which is so amazing to see, really.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, let's talk about your book, right?
Yeah.
Can you share? Is it an autobiography? Okay.
It is. And also, I would like it to be inspirational. I'm hoping to inspire women and men because of all the obstacles that I have surmounted as a woman in this industry.
And your background and where you came from and the life experience you have, know?
Yes. So I wanted to focus on those experiences and hopefully inspire people and empower a lot of people. Writing a book is like therapy. It's been quite difficult at some point because I used to look at my life and see myself crying. Yeah, it was very cathartic in many moments because it wasn't easy for me. It wasn't easy, and I did it at a time where women weren't allowed to do much, to be honest. And yet again, I did it. And I told everyone to fuck off. And I love that. And I want everyone to learn those skills.
Saying fuck off without guilt and saying yes without needing permission.
Exactly. Just find your seat at the table, plant yourself there and own it.
And don't be scared of that.
Unfortunately, women always have to work double harder than men. But hopefully things will change slowly. We'll see.
Looking back at your journey, maybe we can talk a little about not just music, and this would be the last question, but how about, for example, the things you do outside of music, like the Lower East Side Girls Club, you're helping disadvantaged young women pursue their dreams in music, and you speak a lot about women. I personally wrote a book too, and it was very cathartic because it brings you closure to a lot of the things that you went through, and it makes you realize that you are who you are today, being able to say fuck off without any problems because of everything you've been through. So you certainly are a special human, and you really do take your life beyond music, and we really are grateful for that, me as a woman and us as artists around the world with that.
So sweet of you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I would love to read your book, so if you can send me a link.
Of course, my pleasure. I grew up in communism in Romania, so I kind of understand. Yeah, I kind of understand
about all the forbidden stuff that we go through.
Yeah, but you said something that stuck with me. Us women go through double the work, but we're double
Yeah.
strong at the end. So I don't think it's a bad thing, really.
It's
You know?
not. It's not. And in fact, actually, men are very emotional.
Oh, yeah.
Men are like more emotional than women.
Hmm.
Let's be honest. And also, let me crack a joke here, to be honest. I don't know if you can put it on the radio. Maybe you shouldn't, but that's between you and me.
No, 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 it's all good.
The myth of having balls is the complete opposite. I mean, why do we want to have balls? Because they are the most sensitive part in the man's body. You can't even fucking blow on them,
Blink 'em, exactly.
let alone, think that they are it, and they're not. So honestly, I think women have been stripped of their power. We've been hijacked by patriarchy.
Yeah.
And when we say patriarchy, it's not men. It's the patriarchy. There are two
It's the
different
system.
things.
Yep.
It's the system. So we have been hijacked, and it's time to claim our power back. Because at the end of the day, we bring life, and we are the gods. Because who brings life? God brings life.
Yep.
Women bring life. We are the gods. Punto.
I agree with you. And what I also agree with is that we bring life, but we also have the opportunity to grow it and make it better too, you know?
Yeah. I mean, if women rule the world, we would not be having wars at the moment.
No, for stupid, dumb stuff
Yeah.
like money and power and greed.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
greed is a masculine energy,
Yeah. It's not just greed, it's also the small dick syndrome.
Yeah. The balls syndrome,
Who's
actually.
got more balls? Because it's non-existent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen,
Anyway,
Nicole,
I don't know if you can say this on the radio.
you can see it's our radio. We can put whatever we want, so it's all good. Listen, it's been such a pleasure to chat with you. I don't want to take any more of your time. I could probably talk to you for the whole day, but
We should definitely stay in touch and
absolutely, yes.
brainstorm and talk about life.
I agree because I think we have a lot, and I think we do need to continue communicating and talking about things that a lot of people don't have courage to do so. Well, could it be fear? Could it be just, we tend to have this identity tied to what other people think about us, especially women. And so I think it's time to kind of turn things around and find our voice, and not the balls, but the actual voice. So.
Yes, and the inner power, for sure.
Any last words?
Last words. Not really. Just stay beautiful, stay strong, and
stay true.
Stand your ground. Yes. Speaking of women, actually, this entire Iran revolution started with women.
Yep.
So I think I'm going to do a post about this later today.
I didn't know if I could bring this up, but it's such an important topic. And
I did post something 2 days ago.
Yep.
On my Instagram. But now I want to reinforce it that this revolution was initiated by women. And that's a fact.
Yep.
That is a fact.
And how good that it was. Because I'll be honest, at the end of the day, women are the only ones that are actually turning the earth around. So
yeah.
I hope the change will be permanent and in a positive way, because we really need it. There's a lot of bullshit in the world right now.
Oh my God. And it's just not stopping. Every day there is something. I mean, it's just insane. At least you've got Tulum. You can just go and chill on the beach.
Oh yeah, escape. That's why I live here.
Exit social media, yeah.
Oh yeah. I unplug. I used to live in Toronto, and it's such a buzzing city. And then I moved here, and I said, so good, because I could still be in it. And then when I'm done. I'm out. I'm totally.
Lucky you.
It's been an honor. It's been an honor to chat with you today, truly. And
really.
Please, let's stay in touch. And I really look forward to posting this, because I think it was a very amazing conversation. A lot of people need to hear it. And
Thank you so much. Yeah,
thank
take
you.
my number from Omar and let's
Of course. Absolutely. It's been a pleasure.
Have a great
Take care of
day.
yourself. You as well.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye. This is Joanne from Downtown Tulum Radio. Until next time. Thank you.
Downtown Tulum Radio.